Why be easy when you can just die? Woo! Well, I'm Chewy Mew, and welcome to my channel, but more specifically, welcome to another Chewy Mew video, where today we're going to continue the process of reviewing every single figure and custom I have left in my collection that I haven't reviewed for a variety of reasons, most of those being I just never did. And today we're going to be taking a look at my custom ToyBiz Spider-Gwen. I almost forgot what her name was as soon as I put her here. But yeah, so this is the custom Spider-Gwen using various different parts, mostly just the ToyBiz Electra legs that have a cut halfway down the thigh to allow it to do the splits. The legs, I have this weird splits maneuver like I showed, and then they don't kick out straight, they kick out like this. And they don't go all the way around because the butt blocks it. And I don't remember which one. If we pop this off, this is like a plastic thing I put in here so I can pop it off. And also all of the upper thigh here, pretty much all of this is I sculpted this as well, because the original one it just had these big balls, and then you would see like a gap like this, so it would just look like you have the ball joint here, a big gap, like a big thin gap. These are the original legs for Electra. The paint rubs barely. Yeah, it's the original legs for Electra because she had like a bare skin there. There's some paint rub here, like on the arms and stuff when you bend them. Not the most paint rub. There is like on the shoulders, but that's always going to happen. And the neck as well, because the hood rubs on it. So yeah, I sculpted these on, and everything else is the original Electra body. So basically, that's the Electra body down. This is the pelvis and ball joint legs from somebody else. Electra's torso, Electra's arms, Hasbro hand, Electra's hand, Hasbro head, and then clay sculpted thing. As far as other stuff that's sculpted, the arms on this original one are very lanky and skinny. They had like no muscle definition. It's basically just long, like basically a tube with a cut, a bicep swivel, and double joint elbows. But it didn't look too good. So I sculpted on some muscle definition here. You can see it does have a bit more sculpt on here on the back as well. So that way it doesn't just look like big tubes. Also, for some reason, these figures had, they had the regular bicep swivel, like up here at the ball, where the ball shoulder meets the bicep. Then they had a second cut halfway down in between the top joint and then the elbow pin. So, like, it had, like, two rotations, which, I mean, it's not a matter of, like, oh, you have rotation, like, in the elbow and rotation up here. No, it's just, like, two rotations next to each other, so it looked weird. So I cut some of it off, cut some at the bottom here to make the arms a little shorter. Because originally, we could pop the arms off. We can't. The arm is going to break. Never mind. What about this one here? Yeah, originally the arm sunk down to about right there. And then it looked a bit too long. But the problem is, being long isn't the problem. The problem of the arm being long was that it had no muscle definition. So it just looked like a tube with joints. It didn't look too good. So I removed it. She kind of had arms like manga Spider-Man, but he's very stylized. But her arms basically were like this, with not even with detail on it, so it just looked really weird. So I sculpted that on there. As far as other stuff, I painted the insides of the arms here. The paint is kind of sloppy looking, but if it doesn't focus, it looks pretty good like that. But if it does focus, come on, dude. Okay, there we go. Yeah, I painted it. Doesn't look the best there, but it does kind of gets the job done. It's not the cleanest, but I'm kind of okay with that. And now, since I have the Across the Spider-Verse version of Spider-Gwen, this custom is, if it's not as good, it's not like the only Spider-Gwen I have. As far as the torso here, I sculpted a new chest and stuff on here. Not to be one of those people, but it does also have some wrinkles here. And that's, so this part, let her chewing sounds, thought my dog got something. And that's also the chest part here is raised, because on the every Hasbro version, this the black parts, none of the suit has any sort of raised look to it. It's just all painted on, which, I mean, kind of that's how it would be. But it's kind of like how Spider-Man has like the painted in web line, or like the sculpted on web lines and texture. That's what I wanted here, so she would have detail on it. So I sculpted this chest part with a piece of clay, and I think I did pretty good by adding these lines here. Like the original had like lines where the chest stretches the fabric. On the back, I tried doing texture and it didn't work too good. You can see it also has the divot here as well. These back parts are actually sculpted on. It's hard to see on the camera. Along with these parts here, and I super glued dried paint. I cut dried paint into this shape. I super glued it on. As far as the pelvis and stuff, I did a little bit of sculpting on here, because I think this actually was a Spider-Man pelvis. You can see there's some lines in there, but that just makes it look like it has detail. The ab crunch still works, not very good. The ab crunch on this figure isn't the best. It works fine, but it's definitely not one of ToyBiz's best. It can't compete with, Sinister Six Spider-Man here, who has like one of the best ab crunches. As far as the legs here, I cut plastic here so the legs actually move, because these ball joint legs and this pelvis were not from the same figure. I don't remember who they were from. Popping this off, they were red. I don't know who these could have been. I don't know who these came from. I don't know. But regardless of which figure they came from, they're not compatible with the leg with these, so I do have to do some modification. You do get full splits though, so that's good. Like I said, I also sculpted the thigh stuff. I did kind of cover up this pin. I was thinking of covering these pins to make them pinless looking, but in case they ever want to customize this again or like remove parts from it, I don't want to have that because I don't have to dig clay out of it. And then the shoes here, as far as these shoes themselves, they're also just painted on and stuff. I feel like that's fine to have these things painted on. If there's a way I could have added some sculpt to this without messing up the joints and stuff, or without making it look too chunky, I would have done that. Also, I made this before I figured out techniques, like, for example, carving kind of stuff. Like, it's hard to see on this figure, but you can see right there on the belt, it does look like it's carved. I carved this crotch part, like her thong-looking thing here, because I tried adding dried paint to it, and it made it look weird. Same thing with the chest up here. I just carved stuff out to make it look like it's kind of 3D, kind of like it's indented. I could have done that here, but I didn't know about that technique yet. And then I used dried paint. I wrapped around her, and I super glued it on. These legs, the pattern is not symmetrical on both sides. When it's like this, it's not too noticeable, but when you look at it like that, it's a bit noticeable. This one's a bit high. I think I also lost one of these boot cuts. No, I didn't. Yeah, this one's a bit high and a bit thicker, but I think it's kind of fine. It's not too noticeable, especially like if you're ever in some kind of pose. Yeah, it's a very good pose. It's not too noticeable. This is not based off of like Across the Spider. I made this, I think, before the Across the Spider-Verse figures even came out. It's not based off of the Spider-Verse movies. It's based kind of more like the comic book design. I used comic book images as a reference. So she doesn't have like the ballet shoes. I mean, they kind of are a little bit, but they kind of have like the strap here. Hasbro's version just had like the ballet shoes. It didn't have these ones. And then I repainted the face, and it looks kind of terrible. The original one had like dry brushing on the face. This one, it doesn't look as good. It looks fine. I feel like that's how this whole custom is. It doesn't look bad, but it doesn't look too good. It's kind of okay. Like this one, and also that other custom Miles, which if I do things in correct order, that should be the video right before this one, or after, depending. That Miles also wasn't a very good custom and stuff. This one took more work, because I actually, like I said, sculpted the hood, sculpted stuff on the arms, like her suit and the chest, the ankles here, and I added stuff. Miles is just basically a repaint with a different head and modified ab crunch. But yeah, so this figure is it's not a bare bones custom as far as like the actual like what went on here. It took a lot of work to make this. It took, I don't know, maybe like 10 hours in total to make this, maybe 15, I don't know. It took a while. Definitely not one of my most in-depth, thorough customs. It is, what am I saying? Well, I keep saying that for every custom. It's not me being humble. This one just, as far as like the execution, it could have been a bit better. Mostly just like the paint on this, like as far as painting the arms, the hood. As far as the sculpting is pretty good. Like these legs don't look the best, but before they looked terrible. But these look fine. Like this leg here, I mean, they don't match the balls up here and the hips and stuff. They don't match. But if you saw this leg, if you saw the leg like this, you wouldn't think, oh yeah, someone sculpted that. You would just think this is how the leg looks. Like this one does look a bit more like it's sculpted. The thigh's a bit thick. If I could have made these two symmetrical and made them look like they were on the same, they still look symmetrical. But I think the custom looks good. It definitely would work as a substitute if you didn't have a Spider-Gwen figure. But you know, I made it, so here it is. Let's take a look at the articulation now. So the head, being a disc hinge, can look all the way up, can look all the way down, and rotate all the way around. I'm a poet, didn't even know it. The arms go up all the way, and she does have these armpit joints, which offer a lot more movement, so that's pretty cool. This one is, oh, never mind. I was going to say, I think it's super glued in. This one does work, but it doesn't come out all the way like this one. Rotation here in the bicep. Instead of having two rotations here in the bicep, you only have one, which that's all you need. Perfect elbow bend in the elbow. Rotation here in the forearm. You can see how this part looks a little bit too long, like they shrunk it a little bit. If they made the whole arm like thicker and made it shorter, that would work better. Then this one has a hinge in the wrist, because with the web shooting hand, this one has a hinge in the wrist as well, and finger joints. As far as the torso, like I showed, it goes back not really that far. It goes forward a decent amount. Rotation here in the waist, which works pretty good. It's pretty stiff on this, but it works still. The legs kick up all the way. This one does kick up a bit higher. As far as going back, I heard crunching sounds. I hope that's okay. As far as going back, they go back. This one goes back less far than that one. I don't know. It's weird. So you can do the splits with both legs here. Again, they look kind of weird when doing it, but it does work, you know. Rotation here in the upper thigh because the ball joint. Whoa. I thought it's a bit loose now. Oh, that sucks. I think that's what I broke. Oh, man, I think I damaged it somehow. Either way, whatever. You double bend in the knee. That's pretty good. You get a boot cut here. Not boot cut, more like a shin swivel. And then you get, I keep showing that part. And then you get an ankle pivot, which is pretty good. The foot goes all the way forward, all the way back. The toe bends up, and it bends down. And the paint does rub a little bit, but that's kind of fine considering I painted the inside of it black. So when you bend it, it just looks like, it doesn't look like the paint on the blue is rubbing. This one doesn't rub off. It doesn't look like the blue is rubbing off. It just looks like that part of the toe part is black. That's fine. The legs, I mean, it's loose, like, it's not even loose. Like, like right there, it's kind of loose. But if you push it all the way up, it doesn't flop down. So that's nice, unless you shake it. But I'm not going to be shaking this, so that's fine. As far as, like, the size goes, she's a bit shorter than someone like Sinister Six Spider-Man, he's not tall, he's, like, kind of regular-sized height Spider-Man. Spider-Man that's a bit on the shorter side is, what's this guy called? First Appearance Spider-Man. He's a bit shorter than Sinister Six, so he's pretty good height. As far as Miles, I don't know where I put the Miles figure, but those two kind of go together. And this one, I think the custom looks good. It's, like, apart from the, like, sculpt and stuff put on it, it's a simple character design, so there's not, like, a whole ton of stuff I could do to this figure, you know? Like, there's, like, not a lot going on. Like, you know, if I were to make a custom of something like Spider-Man, that would be a lot more work to paint parts and stuff like that, or, like, custom Demo Goblin, for example, or, like custom Spider-Man 2099, where there's a lot more stuff going on with the suit and a lot more stuff that needs to be done. Basically, I just MacGyvered a new pelvis together, sculpted the legs, sculpted some arms, the hood, the chest, and the torso, basically. But I think it looks okay. Let me know what you think about this custom, and I'll see you guys in the next review. Wow.